everybody. Welcome back to Sister Sister, a podcast for spiritual baddies. We're your hosts, Alan and Maya, and today's episode was drafted by Elle, so I'm going to let her get into it.
Today's episode is all about cryptids in America and folklore. So I just want to preface this by the fact that there are so many cryptids in America that this cannot just be like a one time we go through all of them. So we're gonna go through like the most popular ones, and then we also are going to go through some that are like more off the wall. And we will have a link below that has a map that tells you about all the different cryptids and like where they originate in the United States. But if you're unfamiliar, I'm going to start off by telling you what a cryptid is. And a cryptid is an animal or creature whose existence is suggested by folklore, eyewitness accounts, or rumor, but has never been scientifically proven. The term derives from the Greek word crypto, meaning to hide. So, understanding the nature of cryptids. Cryptids occupy a unique space in the realm of the unexplained. Unlike purely mythical creatures such as unicorns or dragons, cryptids are grounded in the possibility of scientific discovery. They represent the tantalizing prospect that undiscovered species may still roam the earth, eluding human detection. The field of cryptozoology emerged in the mid 20th century Bernard, with researchers like Bernard, oh my God, Bernard, why can't I say Bernard? With researchers like Bernard Heuvelmans and Ivan T. Sanderson laying the groundwork for systemic study of reported cryptid sightings. These pioneers sought to apply scientific methodologies to the investigation of unknown animals, analyzing eyewitness accounts, physical evidence, and historical records to build cases for the existence of cryptids. Cryptozoologists employ a variety of methods to their quest for evidence. Field research often involves expeditions to areas where cryptids have been reported, setting up camera traps, collecting physical samples, and interviewing witnesses. Analysis of footprints, hair samples, and other potential evidence is conducted using forensic techniques. However, the lack of verifiable physical evidence remains a significant challenge in establishing the existence of cryptids. The study of cryptids intersects with multiple disciplines, including biology, anthropology, and folklore studies. By examining the cultural context in which cryptid legends arise, researchers gain insights into the beliefs, values, and environmental concerns of different communities. This interdisciplinary approach provides a richer understanding of the role cryptids play in shaping local identities and narratives.
So let's talk about cryptids in the United States. We'll basically explore different folklore legends of cryptids in the country, and while we will explain the folklore behind them, we'll also include their region, and for others, we will include information from those who have claimed to have seen them. Please keep in mind that this is all good natured, and we're going to go through the common cryptids first, then the more weird and obscure one. Like I said before, this is like a fraction of all of them in the US, so there's a few. If you want to learn more about cryptids, we'll have a few sources linked in our description box. So let's get right into the big ones, which this first one you'll definitely know about it and have heard of it. They're called Bigfoot or the Sasquatch, which is based in the Washington region. Perhaps the most famous of all the North American cryptids, Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is described as a large, hairy, ape-like creature standing between 6 to 10 feet tall. The legend of Bigfoot has deep roots in Native American folklore, with various tribes sharing stories of wild men or hairy giants inhabiting the forests long before the European settlers arrived. The modern Bigfoot phenomenon gained widespread attention in 1958 when a construction worker named Jerry Crew discovered enormous footprints at a work site in Bluff Creek, California. Crew made plaster casts of the print, which were subsequently featured in local newspapers, coining the term Bigfoot and igniting public fascination with the creature. Since then, thousands of Bigfoot sightings have been reported across North America, particularly in the Northwest. Witnesses describe a massive bipedal creature covered in dark hair with a distinctive gait and overpowering odor. While skeptics argue that many sightings can be attributed to misidentification of known animals or hoaxes, believers point to the consistency of reports across different regions and time periods as evidence of Bigfoot's existence. The search of Bigfoot has spawned numerous organizations such as the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, which conducts expeditions and collects eyewitness accounts. Despite decades of researching, conclusive proof of Bigfoot's existence remains elusive. However, the creature's cultural impact is undeniable, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and even a popular beef jerky mascot.
So obviously Bigfoot is like probably one of the most well-known cryptids that has existed, and there is literally a version of Bigfoot in pretty much every culture around the entire world. However, Bigfoot is not the only being like this that has been spotted in the United States. We also have what we're calling Bigfoot's cousin, which is Momo, and it was found in Missouri, or sighted in Missouri, rather. Momo is a large Bigfoot-like creature that was first sighted near Louisiana, Missouri in July of 1972. Momo, short for Missouri Monster, was reported to have a large pumpkin-shaped head with black furry hair covering its body, and so much fur on its head that its face couldn't be seen except for glowing orange eyes. The 7 foot tall hairy beast was first seen on the edge of the woods just outside of town by two young boys and their sister. These kids also said that the creature smelled terrible and was carrying a bloody dead dog. Following the children's first sighting of Momo, more people reported having seen the beast in the weeks that followed. Reports stated that it was seen up and down the Missouri River, sorry. Reports stated that it was seen up and down the Mississippi River, with later sightings occurring further west along other waterways. Other report Others reported having caught fleeting glimpses of something in the woods, while some said they smelled something beastly or heard haunting cries, growls similar to a bear's, and inhuman screams. One of the witnesses was Richard Allen Murray, a lifelong local who had served as the town's fire chief and sat on the city council. He reported that when he was driving along a small creek that runs through the middle of town, he saw something moving in the woods. When his headlights fell on the upright figure, the creature quickly ran away and disappeared. He later stated, "I was amazed to see something. I thought it was a bunch of nonsense, but then I saw something." Before long, the news media picked up the story, attracting curiosity seekers and monster hunters from around the country. At one point, a 20-person posse was put together to kill the beast, but the creature was never found. Tracks were found and submitted to Lawrence Curtis, director of Oklahoma City Zoo, who deemed them to be those of an unknown primate species. After a rash of early sightings, the encounters decreased gradually over the next few years before stopping altogether.
Next is Mothman of West Virginia. The legend, the legend of Mothman emerged from Point Pleasant, West Virginia in November 1966. Described as a winged humanoid with glowing red eyes, standing between 5 to 7 feet tall, the Mothman quickly became a source of terror and fascination for local residents. The first reported sighting occurred on November 15, 1966, when two couples driving near an abandoned TNT plant encountered a very large creature with eyes glowing like red coals. Over the next year, dozens of similar sightings were reported in the Point Pleasant area, often accompanied by strange lights in the sky and electrical disturbances. The Mothman gained national attention following the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15th, 1967, which resulted in the deaths of 46 people. Many locals believe Mothman's appearances were a harbinger, a, a a harbinger of disaster, leading to speculation about its supernatural nature. In the years since, the Mothman has become an integral part of Point Pleasant's identity. The town hosts an annual Mothman Festival, attracting thousands of visitors each year. A statue of the creature stands in town at the center, and the Museum showcases the artifact and memorabilia related to the legend. The Mothman's legacy extends beyond Point Pleasant, inspiring books, films, and even academic studies on the psychological and sociological impacts of cryptid sightings on communities. Whether viewed as a supernatural entity, an undiscovered species, or a mass delusion, the Mothman remains a powerful symbol of the unknown.
Next, we have the Jersey Devil in New Jersey, which I'm sure Amaya is very familiar with as she is a Jersey girl. So, the Jersey Devil is a legendary creature said to inhabit the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey. It has a history dating back to the 18th century. Descriptions of the creature vary, but is often depicted as a flying biped with hooves, a goat-like head, bat wings, and a forked tail. The most popular origin story of the Jersey Devil includes Mother Leeds, a woman said to have cursed her 13th child, proclaiming it would be the devil. According to legend, the child transformed into a monstrous creature upon birth, killing the midwife before escaping into the Barrens. Sightings of the Jersey Devil have been reported for centuries, with notable waves of encounters occurring in 1909 and 1951. These incidents led to school closures and heightened public fear, demonstrating the creature's impact on local communities. The Jersey Devil has become an iconic figure in New Jersey folklore, inspiring numerous books, films, and even the name of the state's NHL team, the New Jersey Devils. The creature's legend is closely tied to the Pine Barrens themselves, a unique and somewhat mysterious ecosystem that has long captured the public's imagination.
Interesting. Love the tea about the Jersey Devil. Next is the Loveland Frog of Ohio. The legend of Loveland Frogmen originates from Loveland, Ohio, where multiple sightings of bizarre amphibious creatures have been reported since 1955. These cryptids are described as bipedal frog-like beings standing about 3 to 4 feet tall, with leathery skin and frog or lizard-like heads. The first reported encounter with the Loveland Frogmen occurred in 1955 when a businessman claimed to see 3 or 4 strange creatures gathered by the side of the road. He described them as having wrinkles on their faces and heads and webbed hands and feet. Of one of the creatures allegedly held up a wand-like device that shot sparks. Subsequent sightings, including 2 separate incidents involving police officers in 1972, have added to the Loveland Frogmen mythos. In one case, an officer reported shooting at one of the creatures, but subsequent searches of the area yielded no evidence. The Frogmen have become a quirky part of local folklore, inspiring everything from humorous t-shirts to serious cryptozoological investigations. Some researchers speculate that the creatures would could be misidentified as exotic pets or unknown amphibian species, while skeptics argue that the sightings are likely hoaxes or misidentifications of ordinary animals. Ohio also recently introduced legislation to be the first state to name their official state cryptid, which would be the Loveland Frogman. The legislation hasn't passed yet, but it does have bipartisan support and will likely make it through in the coming months.
Kind of crazy that they introduced that legislation in April, literally last month from when we're filming this. I saw that and I was like cracking up. I was like, okay, Ohio, maybe you like need one thing that you're like known for and it can be that. All right, so next we have the Chupacabra, which originates in Puerto Rico, but there have been sightings in Texas since then. And since Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, we're going to include it. We're going to include it.
Period. This is a big one that I've heard about in my childhood, so I'm so glad we're covering this.
So, the chupacabra or goat sucker is a relatively recent addition to the cryptid pantheon. First reported in Puerto Rico in 1995, the creature quickly captured the public imagination, spreading to other parts of Latin America and the southern United States. Descriptions of the chupacabra vary, but it often is portrayed as a reptilian or dog-like creature with spikes along its back. Standing about 3 to 4 feet tall, its name derives from its reported habit of attacking and draining the blood of livestock, particularly goats. The first wave of chupacabra sightings in Puerto Rico coincided with a series of mysterious animal deaths where livestock were found. I just lost my spot. Okay. The first wave of chupacabra, yeah, I found it, sightings in Puerto Rico coincided with a series of mysterious animal deaths where livestock were found exsanguinated with puncture wounds on their bodies. As news of these incidents spread, similar reports emerged in other countries, each adding new details to the chupacabra mythos. In the continental United States, particularly in Texas and other southwestern states, the chupacabra sightings often describe a more canine-like creature, leading some researchers to speculate that these reports may be misidentifications of coyotes or dogs with mange. The chupacabra has become a significant part of modern folklore, featured in numerous television shows, movies, and books. Its rapid rise to prominence demonstrates how quickly cryptid legends can spread in the age of mass media and internet communication.
Interesting. I love the chupacabra so much. I remember being scared as a kid about it because I thought it was so real. But anyway, it could be real, not doubting it. But anyway, skunk ape of Florida. Florida's contribution to North American cryptozoology is the skunk ape, a Bigfoot-like creature known for its pungent odor. Described as a large, hairy bipedal animal standing 6 to 7 feet tall, 6'7". Sorry, I had to do that. I'm so childish. The skunk ape, the skunk. Oh my god, I can't even say it now. The skunk ape is said to inhabit the swamps and forests of the southeastern United States, particularly the Florida Everglades. Sightings of the skunk ape date back to the 1960s, with witnesses reporting encounters with a large ape-like creature emitting a strong, unpleasant smell reminiscent of rotten eggs or methane. The creature's reported habitat in swampy areas has led some researchers to speculate that its odor may be a result of spending time in stagnant water or methane-rich environments. One of the most famous pieces of evidence of the skunk ape's existence is the Miyaka skunk ape photograph, taken in 2000 by an anonymous woman who claimed the creature had been stealing apples from her backyard. The photograph shows a large, hairy figure with reddish-brown fur, although skeptics argue it could be a misidentified bear or hoax. The legend of the skunk ape has become intertwined with efforts to protect Florida's wetlands and wildlife. Some cryptozoologists argue that the creature could be an undiscovered primate species, highlighting the importance of preserving natural habitats that may harbor unknown animals.
Next, we have the Wendigo, which originates in Wisconsin and the surrounding areas. So, this is a mythological cannibalistic monster in the spiritual tradition of North American Algonquian speaking tribes. It is associated with winter and described as either a fearsome beast that stalks and eats humans or as a spirit that possesses humans, causing them to turn into cannibals. There are many different spellings and pronunciations for the Wendigo. In Ojibwe. The term is defined as a winter cannibal monster, but its name may derive from the Proto-Algonquian word Winnetikowa, meaning owl. Some legends say that the Wendigo is an emaciated figure with ashen flesh. Others describe it as a giant creature up to 15 feet tall or as a beast that grows larger the more it eats. It may have sunken or glowing eyes and sharp yellowed fangs and claws. Its lips are chewed or entirely missing because it has eaten them. It may be hairless or have fur, and it may have pointed ears and horns or antlers like a deer. It smells of rotting flesh and is usually first detected by humans by its horrible odor. Wendigos are believed to have exceptionally sharp eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell, as well as superior strength and speed in order to stalk and overpower their victims. They live in colder climates among the woodlands and lakes of Canada and the northern United States. They can move easily through deep snow and across ice. A shaman may be the only person who can subdue and destroy a Wendigo using either a silver, steel, or iron bullet or a dagger. Some legends, however, claim that the Wendigo's heart must be cut out and melted or burned in a fire before its spirit truly is vanquished. The Wendigo is sometimes described as a spirit rather than a physical presence. In Cree mythology, for example, the Wendigo is believed to be an evil spirit that possesses humans. The spirit enters a person by biting him or her or through a dream. The possessed person becomes a cannibalistic or otherwise deranged or violent. Some people are believed to be more susceptible to becoming possessed by a Wendigo, including those who are greedy or gluttonous, as well as those who are suffering from hunger or starvation. A colloquial phrase for this experience is going Wendigo.
I like that, actually. Going Wendigo. Now let's talk about the jackalope of Wyoming. It's not just the jackalope's antlers that have propelled to its legend status. The creature has some epic tales attached to it as well, like how it reproduces. Branch said one of the reasons the animal is said to be so rare is because it only mates during lightning storms. I just think that's an example of a million stories that have carried the jackalope forward. It's storytelling that keeps this beast alive, says Branch. It's also well known among believers that the jackalope can sing. Jackalopes have been known to sing along with cowboys around the campfire, both in the US and Canada. So if you're ever out camping and you start singing around the campfire, it's very common to hear the jackalope sing along with you. And then there's details around the jackalope hunt. Branch himself was given a jackalope hunting license after spending time in the town of Douglas, Wyoming. Depending on which license you're looking at, it will stipulate the day of the year, the time of the day, and the elevation of the hunt. But the details will always end up being something that's impossible. Now we're going to share some information from the Smithsonian. The jackalope, also commonly known as the Frankenstein rabbit, is the stuff of nightmares, with elongated horns protruding from its furry little head. The mythological jackrabbit with the horns of an antelope is an American legend, one that young biology students are taught to regard with the same disbelief as unicorns and werewolves. So when one of the museum's mammal collection managers, Suzanne Prurock from U.S. Geological Survey Patuxent Wildlife Research Center, discovered an eastern cottontail with horny facial growths in the collection, she could not believe it was real. When I pulled the rabbit out of the box, I thought this must be a joke. I went to school in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and everywhere you go, there are jackalopes in the biology professors' offices and even being sold in stores. Those are fake animals, the result of people suing taxidermy rabbits and deer antlers together. The rabbit was definitely not one of those. Indeed, the rabbit was real, and after conferring with Robert Hoffman, senior Smithsonian mammologist and world authority on rabbits and hares, Parak learned that the rabbit was infected by Shope pap- papilloma virus. The virus infects The virus infects rabbits and hares worldwide, causing tumors to grow in various places on a rabbit's head and body. The Shope papilloma virus is a cancer-causing strain related to the human papillomavirus, or HPV, whereas HPV corrupts cells in the human cervix to build cancerous tumors. In rabbits, the papillomavirus manifests as hard, keratinized horns. If they develop near the mouth, the tumor can become large enough that they interfere with the host's ability to eat, eventually causing starvation. Such papillomaviruses are found throughout the animal kingdom, including other mammals, birds, and reptiles. Although American virologist Richard Shope discovered the virus in the 1930s, its distinctive symptoms in rabbits and hares have mystified and inspired people for centuries. Descriptions of horned hares as real or mythical creatures date back to medieval and early Renaissance times, appearing in Bavarian folklore and early scientific texts. Stories and illustrations of horned rabbits as real animals last appeared in scientific books in the late 1700s, after which the idea of a horned hare as a distinct species was mostly rejected.
So there's actually some genuine possibility for the jackalope. It's just a mutation from cancer, unfortunately. Next, we have the Ozark howler, which is from Arkansas and the surrounding states. The Ozark howler is a cryptid reported to inhabit the remote regions of Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas, described as a large cat-like creature with a thick, shaggy coat. The Ozark howler is said to have prominent horns and glowing red eyes, very much so a common occurrence among cryptids. Its most distinctive feature, however, is its chilling cry, often described as a combination of a wolf's howl and an elk's bugle. Sighting of the Ozark howler date back to the early 19th century, with Native American legends potentially referencing the creature even earlier. Witnesses often report encountering the howler's heavy forested Witnesses often report encountering the howler in heavily forested areas, particularly at night. Some cryptozoologists speculate that the Ozark howler could be an undiscovered species of big cat, possibly a remnant population of an extinct field possibly a remnant population of an extinct felid like the American lion. Skeptics, however, argue that sightings can be attributed to misidentifications of known animals, such as black bears or cougars, combined with the power of suggestion and local folklore. The legend of the Ozark Howler has become intertwined with the cultural identity of the Ozark region, reflecting the area's rugged terrain and rich folklore traditions. Whether real or imaginary, the howler serves as a reminder of the mysteries that may still lurk in the remote corners of North America. And much like the Ozark howler, we then have the Wampus cat, which is just further east. So,
Yes. In Missouri, they call it a galliwampus. In Arkansas, it's the whistling wampus. In Appalachia, it's just a plain old wampus or wampus cat. A half-dog, half-cat creature that can run erect on all fours. It's rumored to be seen just after dark or right before dawn throughout the Appalachians. But that's all about everyone agrees on. In non-Native American cultures, it's a howling evil creature with yellow eyes that can supposedly pierce the hearts and souls of those unfortunate enough to cross its path, driving them to the edge of sanity or insanity. Cherokee folklore, which is filled with tales of evil spirits lurking in deep, dark forests that surround their villages, offers a different view of the Wampus cat. An evil demon called Iwa, the spirit of madness, had been terrorizing the village of Etowah or Chota. in what is today North Carolina. The village of shamans and war chiefs called for a meeting. The wise shamans told the war chiefs that sending the braves to hunt and kill the Iowa was surely to be was surely going to be the end of the tribe, for the Iowa had the terrible power to drive men mad with a glance. The war chiefs argued that the Iowa could no longer feast on the dreams of the Cherokee children, and that something must be done. Together they agreed that their strongest brave would go alone and bring great honor to his family and tribe by killing the mad demon. Standing Bear was the strongest, fastest, smartest, and most respected brave in all of the Cherokee Nation, and he was chosen to do the battle with the demon. As he walked from his village, the shamans blessed him, and the war chiefs gave him many fine weapons in which to slay the beast. And on the edge of town, his wife, Running Deer, bid him a final farewell. She would never see him the same way again. Weeks went by and there was no word from Standing Bear. Suddenly, late one night, the stricken brave came running back into camp, screaming and clawing at his eyes. One look and Running Deer knew her husband was no more. With time, he would be able to pick berries and work in the fields with the young girls and unmarried widows, but he would never be any good as a husband again, and by Cherokee law, that meant he was dead. Standing Bear's name was never again mentioned, but Running Deer had loved her husband and she wanted revenge. Running Deer went to the shamans and they gave her a booger mask, a bobcat's face, and they told her that the spirit of the mountain cat could stand against the Iowa, but she must be the one to surprise the demon. The war chiefs gave her a special black paste, which when she rubbed on her body would hide her scent as well as her body. She kissed her former husband on the forehead, his blank eyes staring, and headed off to seek her revenge. Late one night, she heard a creature stalking down by the stream. As she crept slowly, as she slept, oh my god, as she As she crept slowly towards the creek, she heard a twig snap behind her. She spun and just as suddenly realized how quickly it would have been the end of her. Behind her, a wily fox darted across the pathway. If that had been the Iowa, I would be mad now, the widowed Cherokee woman thought to herself as she continued towards the creek. At the edge of the creek she saw footprints which did not belong there, and her former husband's breastplate lay at the edge of the water. As she followed the prints upstream, she saw the demon. Running Deer crept ever closer, and just as she felt she could bring herself no closer, she sprang. The Ewa spun and saw the cat spirit mask, and began to tear itself as the spirit of the mountain cat turned its powerful magic back on itself. The Ewa tumbled back into the pool, and Running Deer immediately turned on her heel and ran as fast as she could back to the village, never once looking back. When she arrived home, she sang a song to herself, a quiet song of grief for her husband, but also of joy for the demon's banishment. The shamans and war chief declared Running Deer the spirit talker and home protector. Some say that the spirit of Running Deer inhabits the Wampus cat, and that she continues her eternal mission of watching her tribe's lands to protect them. That was a really good story. I love that.
Yeah, I felt like we had to include it. It is a pretty like well-known one among like Native American folklore, but I feel like not as many people know it just like in general. Next, we have the Pop Lick Monster, yeah. The Pop Lick Monster from Kentucky. Oh my God, it's the Pope Lick Monster. Monster. Oh my God, what am I saying? All right. Next, we have the Pope Lick monster from Kentucky. Also known as the Goat Man, is a legendary creature said to inhabit the area surrounding Pope Lick Creek and its railroad trestle just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. This cryptid is typically described as having the torso of a man and the legs and head of a goat, sometimes with additional features such as fur, scales, or even horns. According to local legend, the Poplik monster uses various methods to lure unsuspecting victims onto the railroad trestle, including hypnosis, voice mimicry, or the promise of hidden knowledge. Once on the trestle, victims are said to meet their doom either at the hands of the monster or by an oncoming train. The origins of the Poplik monster legend are unclear, with some versions claiming it is the result of a circus freak show accident, while others suggest it may be a twisted form of satire from Greek mythology. Regardless of its origins, the legend has had real-world consequences, with several accidents and deaths occurring on the trestle as thrill seekers attempt to spot the creature or test their bravery. The Poplik monster has become a significant part of Louisville local folklore, inspiring numerous stories, independent films, and even a play. The legend serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of trespassing and risk-taking behavior, while also reflecting broader themes of urban legends and the human fascination with the monstrous and unknown.
Now we're going to talk about some quick Loch Ness monster type cryptids. And there's a dozen of these all over the US that are similar to the Loch Ness monster. A few of them, most popularly known, are Champion, New York, Chessie in Maryland, Cassie in Maine, Altamaha in Georgia, Sinkhole Sam in Kansas, Bessie in Michigan, Tahoe Tessie in Nevada.
So
So,
many of them.
so many. And I'm sure there's more, one in every state, but yeah.
All right, now we're going to move into our more obscure cryptids, and we're going to start with our Pennsylvania one, which I love this guy. I love the information about him, and I learned something new. He is called the Squonk. And for anyone who doesn't know, I am from Pennsylvania and currently am in Pennsylvania. So deep in the misty hemlock forest of Pennsylvania, a peculiar creature is said to roam, known as the squonk. This cryptid stands apart from fearsome monsters and elusive giants. It's distinguished by its perpetual sorrow. This quirky yet this quirky yet poignant figure in American folklore symbolizes imperfection and fragility, offering a gentler kind of mystery than most cryptid legends provide. According to traditional tales, the squonk inhabits the shadowy hemlock forest, spending its days hiding and weeping. Described as a small, awkward creature with loose, ill-fitting skin covered in warts and blemishes, the squonk is painfully aware of its unfortunate appearance. This self-consciousness drives it to avoid any contact with other creatures, retreating deeper into the forest to hide its perceived ugliness. The creature's most distinctive behavior and the source of its name involves constant weeping. Squonks supposedly cry continuously, leaving wet trails through the forest that hunters might follow, but here's where the legend becomes particularly poignant. When finally when finally cornered or captured, the squonk's distress becomes so overwhelming that it dissolves entirely into a puddle of its own tears. This detail, the creature literally dissolving when confronted, serves a clever narrative purpose. It explains why no one has ever successfully captured or photographed a squonk. The very act of catching one destroys the evidence. It's the perfect, unfalsifiable claim, a self-contained explanation for the creature's continued mystery. Now, the squonk is actually acknowledged as a folklore-based metaphor in Pennsylvania. So, the squonk's legend reflects the social dynamics and environmental context of Pennsylvania's logging camps. These camps house men working dangerous jobs in isolated conditions, often far from families and communities. The stories they created and shared built camaraderie and provided psychological relief from difficult circumstances. Lumber camp folklore also functioned as environmental commentary. The late 1800s and early 1900s saw massive deforestation in Pennsylvania, with old-growth hemlock forests being decimated in decimated for timber and tan bark. Some interpreters suggest the squonk, a sad creature whose habitat was disappearing, unconsciously reflected loggers' complex feelings about their work's environmental impact. The creature's warty, unattractive appearance and constant tears might symbolize the damaged, altered landscape left behind by logging operations. Its tendency to dissolve when confronted could represent the vanishing wilderness itself, disappearing before anyone could properly document or preserve it.
Long live the squonk.
Look up a picture of the squonk, everyone. He's so ugly, but so adorable. I love him.
I would die for the squonk. Anyway, let's talk about the Flatwood Monster of West Virginia. The Flatwood Monster, also known as Braxton County Monster, burst onto the cryptozoological scene on September 12, 1952, in Flatwoods, West Virginia. This extraterrestrial-looking creature was reportedly encountered by a group of local residents who investigated a strange light that appeared to land in the hills near their town. Witnesses described the Flatwoods Monster as a tall humanoid figure with a spade-shaped head, glowing eyes, and a dark metallic body. Some accounts mention clawed hands and a strong a strong sulfurous odor. The creature was said to emit a shrill hissing sound and glide rather than walk. The incident gained national attention, with newspaper reports and radio broadcasts spreading the story across the country. While skeptics argue that the sighting can be explained as a misidentification of an owl or other natural phenomenon, combined with the ex- combined with the excitement and fear of witnesses, the legend of the Flatwoods Monster has persisted.
Now we have the Dover Demon in Massachusetts, and there is a similar cryptid as well in Connecticut. So, once again, go to that map if you want to see. So, this is a creature no larger than a dog, but with a head like a giant, lumpy, upside down mushroom. That's the best way to describe it. It has long, spindly arms and legs, bright orange eyes that glow in the dark, and skin like wet sandpaper. The year 1977 is etched in the annals of paranormal investigation thanks to the flurry of the Dover demon sightings that summer and fall. It all kicked off in June, where driving near the Charles River in Dover, their car stalled near a stone wall, and that's when they saw it. Emerging from the darkness was a truly bizarre entity described as about 3 or 4 feet tall. It had disproportionately large, round, lumpy head, no discernible neck, and the spindly limbs, and those unforgettable, large, glowing orange eyes. One witness described it as a weird, almost alien-like creature in appearance. The creature reportedly scurried away, disappearing into the undergrowth. The teenagers were so shaken that they immediately reported it to the Dover police. What followed was a series of other sightings over the next few months. A woman reported seeing a similar creature on her lawn, describing it as an eerie small creature that moved with uncanny speed. Another resident, John Alston, encountered strange encountered a strange humanoid while walking his dog, also noting its unusual shape and glowing eyes. Each account had the same features noted. These weren't just random hallucinations, these were consistent, detailed reports from credible individuals, solidifying the Dover Demon's place as a genuine New England mystery. Because this wasn't like super publicized when it happened, unlike a lot of cryptids are. So these people really had no idea that these other reports were coming in, which is like kind of wild that they all were describing the same thing, even with like no news coverage of it.
Next is the Pukwudgie. What a word. I love it. Tales of Pukwudgies appeared in the Lenape and Wampanoag folklore and date back at least 9,000 years, marking them as one of the oldest mythical creatures in North America. The Mythical origins of Pukwudgies lie in a creation told by the Wampanoag tribe and some other Northeast Algonquin tribes. These little creatures are believed to have originated in the Hockomock Swamp in Massachusetts. You may encounter pukwudgies across what is now New England, from Massachusetts down to Ohio and Indiana and up into parts of Canada. There's a good reason for why these creatures are so widespread. They were thrown there. According to oral history of some tribes, the Pukwudgies were originally tried to live in harmony with the Native Americans and even help them. The humans didn't understand or appreciate the help, and the Pukwudgies eventually decided that the humans were ungrateful and not worth helping. The formerly friendly Pukwudgies felt especially spurned by the appreciation humans had for the creation giant of Cape Cod, Moshop. So they started stealing food, throwing sand in people's eyes, those sorts of nasty tricks. In one version of the Pukwudgie mythology, the little creatures returned with a vengeance. After being so abused, the tricksters turned deadly. Now, instead of pranks, the Pukwudgie began kidnapping children, luring people to their death, and burning villages. Moshop sent his children to eradicate them again. The Pukwudgies lured them into deep grass and shot them with magic arrows, killing all five sons. In some versions, they may have even killed Moshop or Moshop's wife. That's like crazy.
All right, next we have the snallygaster in Maryland. And that's just a fun word to say, in my opinion, much like Pukwudgie and the swank. So, in the hills of Frederick County, stories once spread of a winged monster with a metallic beak, piercing claws, and a taste for blood, called the snallygaster. This part bird, part reptile creature with a single eye and coiling tentacles is often linked to the German phrase Schnellergeist, which means quick sprint. Though this connection is linguistic rather than folkloric, as no such creature exists in German tradition. Still, its spectral habits echo older tales of the wild hunt brought by German immigrants in the 18th century. The Snallygaster's supposed Old World roots help explain its eerie name, yet no firm record of such creature appears in early Maryland or European sources, suggesting that, like many American legends, it took root later, evolving from a blend of immigrant storytelling, isolation, and local migration.
Next is the Fresno Nightcrawler of California. The Fresno Nightcrawlers are a fairly new part of American folklore, with sightings first recorded in the 1990s. The creature is strange and simple in appearance, slender and entirely white. The body of a nightcrawler appears to be 90% legs. Reports vary on their size. Some state the entity is 3 feet tall, while other sightings gauging the beings at 7 feet tall. While their additions to mainstream folklore may be fairly recent, the mythology of nightcrawlers may be ancient. Amer- Native American totems from yesteryear depict the creature very similar to the one of the Fresno Nightcrawler legend. Although they are named the Fresno Although they are named the Fresno Nightcrawlers, they have been spotted in places other than California City. Security cameras in Yosemite National Park picked up footage of slender, strange beings that resemble the Fresno Nightcrawlers. This also almost sounds like Slenderman, in my opinion.
So, California actually has another cryptid, which I didn't include, which very much so resembles the Hat Man. So, I don't know what's going on over in California, but anyways, just the more you know. All right, our final one. This has been a long episode, but I feel like this is just a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys are enjoying it, is the Oklahoma octopus. And let me tell you, when I saw that there was a creature called the Oklahoma octopus, I had never heard of it before, but I needed to know more. Because what do you mean there's an octopus in the middle of landlocked Oklahoma? I was bamboozled by this name, and honestly, this is probably one of the not necessarily the coolest stories, but like the craziest type of being to be in the area that it is located. So, according to eyewitness accounts and local lore, the Oklahoma octopus is a sight to behold. Imagine an octopus the size of a horse. Its skin is described as a reddish brown hue, perfect for blending into the muddy waters of Oklahoma's lakes. This coloration is a key part of the creature's hunting strategy, allowing it to ambush unsuspecting prey. But it's the tentacles that really set the beast apart. Witnesses claim they're incredibly long and powerful, capable of reaching out and snatching a full-grown adult from the safety of a boat. These appendages are said to be covered in suckers, much like their ocean-dwelling cousins, but with a grip strong enough to drag a person under in seconds. There are whispers of sharp claws at the ends of its tentacles, all the better for gripping slippery prey. Others claim it possesses a paralyzing venom, explaining why some victims are found without signs of struggle. Unlike the typically shy and reclusive nature of most octopuses, the Oklahoma octopus is portrayed as aggressive and territorial. It's said to actively hunt human prey waiting near popular swimming areas and boat launches. To hunt, the creature uses its camouflage abilities to blend in with the lake bottom, waiting motionlessly for an unsuspecting swimmer to venture too close. Then its tentacles shoot out, wrapping around the victim and dragging them to the depths before they have a chance to cry out for help. The octopus doesn't just go after swimmers. Boaters have been reported feeling something massive bump against their vessels, accompanied by the eerie sensation of tentacles exploring the hull. Some claim to have seen giant suckers pressed against their boat windows as if the creature were peering in at them. The Oklahoma octopus is also credited with unusual intelligence. It learned to avoid certain areas after increased human activity, only to appear in a new location where it's least expected. This has led to a cat and mouse game between the creature and those trying to prove its existence, with the octopus always seeming to be one step ahead. Its diet is varied and voracious. While human victims are the most sensational part of the story, the Oklahoma octopus is said to feed on everything from fish and waterfowl to small mammals that venture too close to the water's edge. Some even claim it can survive on land for periods, using its tentacles to pull itself along in search of prey. One particularly chilling aspect of the legend is the creature's alleged longevity. Given that the lakes it inhab given that the lakes it inhabits are all man-made and relatively young, some versions of the story suggest there's only one Oklahoma octopus, an ancient ever-growing monster that has adapted to each new lake as they were created.
Sounds scary.
Yeah, it's like a giant kraken in a lake.
Have we
So,
talked about the Kraken recently?
I don't
I
think
feel like
so.
we did. That
We
this should
did.
be a part two. That should be a part two. Idea for season 7.
So, some final thoughts. Cryptids play a huge role in folklore, science, and American culture. Whether or not the creatures are real, there is going to be a continued interest in the creatures and a continuation of the folklore tales they come from. I think that pretty much anyone anywhere has some sort of interest in at least one cryptid, whether it's Bigfoot, Mothman, the Loch Ness Monster, or its many other versions that we seem to have in the United States, the Chupacabra, like you said you grew up with those tales, Amaya. I think that it's just one of those things where like a lot of people find it interesting because it's like the unexplained. It's much so like people's interest in aliens, right? Like you can't explain it, so like it's gonna pique interest of a lot of people. What was your favorite cryptid that we talked about, Maya?
Other than the Chupacabra and the Jersey Devil, because I'm My family's from Puerto Rico and I'm from Jersey. I think my favorite had to be the Wampus cat. Yeah.
All right. I'm very partial to the squonk, but I also really like the Oklahoma octopus because like what? Where did it even come from, right? Like how did it get there?
Anyway, let's get right into tarot time.
All right, what does the collective need to? All right, Spirit. Spirit is done with me this season. I think it's this deck. This is my sassy deck that's like, I'm done with you.
It literally says "You're damn" every single time.
Oh, well, we have the Knight of Swords yet again. All right, so just a few episodes ago, if you listened, the Knight of Swords came out. And the Knight of Swords is very much so about quick action. You're like trying to, get moving forward, but you have the warning that the sword is often double-edged. So, calculate your moves, re-examine, maybe make some adjustments. Don't just like go head first and not think about the repercussions.
Interesting. Let's read the astrology almanac because it sounds like it'll be just as riveting.
I don't think we've ever had the same card come out for more than one episode in a season. It's crazy.
No, we definitely haven't.
So on the 9th, Mercury will enter Leo. In the weeks ahead, the planet of communication will help you to feel more confident and bold when talking to others as it moves through the sign of Leo. Then on the 10th, Venus and Libra will both trine with Pluto and Aquarius and be in opposition with Neptune and Aries. While this trine will ask you to make an effort towards give and take with people to create balance, the opposition is warning you to watch out for tricksters who have no intent of helping you, but rather are trying to get a fast one over on you. On the 11th, Mars enters Cancer. The sign of determination and work ethic moves into Cancer. You may feel weighed down by the emotional toll of always putting 110% into your work. Take some time to use that energy. Take some time to use the energy that you do have to fill your cup with your family and friends. Just don't let your emotions overwhelm you and cause heated arguments or breakdowns. The 11th continues on with a whole lot more going on in the sky, though. Mercury and Leo will oppose Pluto and Aquarius, and Mercury and Leo will also trine with Neptune and Aries. The opposition is telling you to be more rebellious than usual. However, this can lead to power struggles with everyone believing they should be in charge. On the other hand, the trine encourages us to be creative and focus on artistic vision, but warns us not to stir up drama just because we can. To round out the 11th, we have Venus in Libra trine with Uranus in Gemini, which is encouraging you to think outside the box and go against the normal everyday routine. Maybe try a new hairstyle or wear that outfit you've been wanting to, but have been too afraid of what people would think about it. On the 12th, we have a new moon and solar eclipse in Leo. Solar eclipses have the tendency to shake things up, and with this one in Leo, a lot of people may be fighting for main character energy. Allow yourself to enter into your next phase of life without constantly competing with others. Instead, move with confidence.
Period. Clock it every single time. That's all I got to say about that. And if you also like today's episode, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you want to hear a part two about cryptids and maybe globally, we can definitely do an episode on that. Be sure to comment that down below. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.